think the plan would be to actually twist this over a pot of boiling water, and it's taken some effort. Whoops. I'm Dan, and I've been designing kitchen gadgets for 40 years. I'm gonna test some pasta gadgets and see if I can find a way to make them better. More of a bulbous shape. If we had a smaller pot, maybe I meant to put it here. These are the products I am going to test. Manual pasta press, automatic pot stirrer, quick pasta cooker, clip-on pasta strainer, adjustable dough cutter. Manual pasta press. It is designed to extrude pasta with the twist of this lever. Let's see how effective it is. Okay, off with the top. I will reduce the amount that I'm going to put in here. And let's start twisting, see what happens. And it's certainly coming out. I think the plan would be to actually twist this over a pot of boiling water. And it's taken some effort. Whoops. That's interesting. The thread actually popped off on the bottom. So I would say that's not overly successful. I'm going to try to twist this back on. We can give it another try. It's possible the bottom wasn't screwed on. But let's keep going. Let's see if it pops off again. Good. Whoa, now the top's falling off. We're having some problems. The pasta is looking a little stringy, but I think it looks edible. I think we're at the bottom of the barrel here. So let's cut it off. Well, the pasta is sticking together, so that would be impossible to save if you actually want spaghetti. It really took a whole lot of work to do that. Let's compare that to a rolling pin and a pizza cutter. In terms of effectiveness, I would give the manual pasta press a 3 out of 5. I am a little concerned that the noodles, especially on the smaller size here, would be sticking together. I'm going to try this again, this time with the left-handed oil test. By making my non-dominant hand slippery, it's going to really show the challenges and point out any faults or areas for improvement in the gadget. Instead of the smallest extrusion here, I am going to try the wide noodles. I think it's going to be a little bit easy to extrude out of this shape. Of course, this is completely round and stainless steel, so there's really nothing to grab onto. Okay, let's reload. Let's see if I can get this top on. Again, there's really nothing to grab against as I do this. And I will decide to hold this handle with my right hand and twist with my left hand. I can feel it's definitely less pressure than with the smaller holes, which you would expect. Still taking a lot of work. And honestly, my right hand isn't feeling that great either. Cap fell off again. The noodles are looking okay, but boy, the effort I'm putting into it, hope you're not having a pasta party. I'm gonna stop there. So the output is okay. It may take a little bit of learning a technique to understand how dry or wet the dough should be, but the effort that went into it was really difficult. In terms of usability, I would give this a 1 out of 5, but it's awkward, it's a little bit painful, and if I recommended it any higher, I think I'd have a couple of people angry at me. Let's talk about a redesign. I think to start with, there's a common problem with jar lids or many other things you may find in the kitchen, is that if you just have a smooth steel or slippery circle that you're trying to twist open, it's not going to be easy to do. So I would at least put some sort of ripples or texture in this. Not enough to scratch your skin, but enough to at least get a little bit of purchase on it. And probably the place to do that would be right along this edge. Same thing up top, I would do the same thing along this edge. I would put some sort of shape in there or ripples or something so that even with a slippery hand, you're going to be able to twist this on and tighten it. We also have to solve this problem, the fact that the parts fall off really easily. This is just an end cap for the handle because you certainly don't want to put your finger up against this. I think a way to fix that would be actually rethink this entire part. What we really want to do is create a shape that would assist that, maybe something that looks a little curvy. Instead of end caps being overlaid, I think I would do some sort of plug, maybe round it so that there's a plug on the inside. So as you're twisting, you're not pulling against anything because there's quite a bit of push this way to pop these caps off as you're twisting. In terms of a buy rating, I would give this a 1 out of 5. My grandmother used to make pasta, and I'm afraid if I gave this any higher than a 1, I would get hit by lightning. Automatic pot stirrer. It is designed to stir a pot of pasta sauce while you go off and watch television. Let's see how effective it is. We have some bubbling pasta sauce. I'm going to turn it on, first on the lowest mode, put it inside, and Not too much movement, so let's give it another shot. We have a little more movement this time. It's alternating back and forth. I'm not sure the sauce on this side of the pot is getting its fair share of getting stirred. Let's put it on the third setting. It's okay, but it's not working its way around the pot. It helps some, but I don't feel like it really got out to the edges. Let's try it. Not stirred enough. In terms of effectiveness, I would give the automatic pot stirrer a solid 3.5. With a larger pot, I'm not sure I'd be 100% comfortable letting the robot do the work. Let's test its usability. Let's see what issues I can uncover by making my non-dominant hand slippery. This is really a pretty passive device, so there's not a whole lot of mechanical interface here. It is a little tricky to pick it up. There's nothing really to grab onto, but it doesn't weigh that much, and I'm not struggling too much in doing that. The only thing that would be of concern is lifting it in and out of the pot with the slippery hands. It's not terrible. A little bit of shape here may help, but it doesn't weigh enough to really complain too much about. Let me turn that off. Okay, let's taste it. Why does it taste better left-handed than right-handed? In terms of usability, I would give it a 5 out of 5. All in all, I think it's passive and easy to use. Let's talk about a redesign. Okay, let's look at this from a side view, and I'll do a quick trace. Here is a pot, and the problem is I saw that when you get close to the edge, it's really missing whatever sauce would be sitting here. I would consider instead of this for a curve, I would make this arm go more vertical. Still have a slight curve to it, maybe. Another thing I would consider, it has an arm on one of the legs that goes to the inside, but it doesn't completely cover the insides. If we had a smaller pot, it seems that it would be missing the middle. What I would suggest, or at least experiment with, is whether or not this arm needs to come in towards the center. So if the pot is like this, and this is sitting inside, even if this spins, it seems like it's going to be missing a midsection here. So I would at least look at the possibility of making these arms come in further, at least one of the arms come in towards the center, so that you don't miss the center of the pot if it's a smaller pot. In terms of a buy rating, I would give this a 4, but it really depends on what you're going to be using it for. I'm not sure it's going to work its way around the way I would want, and I think I'd be burning some edges. I bet this would scare your cat. Quick pasta cooker. It is designed to quickly cook pasta in a microwave oven. Let's see how effective it is. Pour in the water. I am going to lay down the spaghetti. Top back on. So I am now going to put this in the microwave for 10 minutes. Okay, I am finished with the microwaving. As you can also see, it looks like I'm going to be better off pouring it out from this side because the hole is closer to the edge here. There's no real good way to pick this up because it's sloped in this direction. Let's see how I can get the water out. Feeling like I should go a little slowly. And trying not to burn myself. Okay, well, it's a little tricky. I didn't want to put my hands too close to the edge where the water's coming out, but because of that, and because this is silicone and a little bit floppy, it looks like some of the pasta tried to come out by itself. Let's see how it came out. So it was 10 minutes. Now the 10 minutes included the heat up time, so it was 10 minutes starting with cold water. It is underdone. I would actually put it in for like another 2 minutes. In terms of effectiveness, I would give this a 4 out of 5. If you really need to cook pasta in a microwave, I would say this will do that. Let's test its usability. I am going to slip up my hands, left and right hands, because this is really a two-handed operation, but I'm going to favor my left hand. What I would do probably is lift and try to get my little fingers underneath so that it doesn't just slip right down. Okay, we're finished with the microwaving. So my job now is to pour out the water. This really isn't designed to be lifted, which is too bad because that's really one of the main functions of using this product. Hold the top down because I've learned that it could fall off or at least open up a gap. And I'm going to slowly turn this, invert this upside down. I can see once again the spaghetti is falling to one side, and the next thing I would want to do is straighten it out. especially if I'm going to continue cooking in here. In terms of usability, I would give this a 1 out of 5. They really missed the boat in the sense that you really need to pick this up. It has hot water in it and you need to pour it out. So let's talk about a redesign. Start with, I think what I would do instead is give some sort of shape here that would come where it would literally be a colander and the holes would come right to the edge. In terms of this shape, it curves in like that, which means when you get your fingers on it, slippery or not, this thing is just going to go that way. So something that would help is something that you'll see on just about every piece of glass or ceramic cookware, anything you put in the oven, is some sort of lip or handle here or bulge, so that when you get your fingers underneath here, there's something to push against. Something else that's very curious about this is that it does make a lot more sense to pour out the side. This inside curve, it's convex in this direction. What that means is if you try to pour out the side, the water is going to either come out here or here, exactly where your hands are. I think what I would do instead is what I would call the opposite. Instead of curving this way, I would curve it this way. And I think I would design this part so that there are holes on this side that are going to help you get rid of the water, keep the spaghetti in place. Yellow may not be visible, but I will draw yellow spaghetti. Keep the spaghetti horizontal, drain out the water, maybe even put a bit of a lip on here, like a bit of a spout, so you can control the way the water's coming out. This would have been relatively easy to do if someone actually tried cooking with this when they were designing it. In terms of a buy rating, on a 1 to 5 scale, I would give this a 1.5. Get it only if you really need to cook pasta in a microwave. Also, keep in mind, you don't want the pasta gods seeing you cooking pasta in a microwave oven, so just be very secretive when you do this. Clip-on pasta strainer. Its purpose in life is to strain the pasta water by clicking onto the rim of the pot. Let's see how effective it is. So I have some pasta cooking in here. It is ready to be strained. I'm going to clip this to the edge. I'm going to pop this up because I think maybe that's going to strain a little better. It was concave before, now at least it's almost flat. Okay, hi, it's me, I'm taller. Let's see how the clip-on pasta strainer works. Well, it's pouring off to the side a bit. It's holding the pasta in. And it's working okay. Let's see how the clip-on pasta strainer compares to using a regular colander. In terms of effectiveness, I would give this a 3.5 out of 5. It requires a bit of accuracy. It's a little bit tricky to get it directly out without having water spill or pasta spill out to the side. Let's test its usability. So once again, I'm going to slime up both hands. They're making slippery hands in the kitchen. And this time, I'm going to stay short. What happens if someone is not as tall and needs to use this? I am going to clip this onto the pot, and there's really nothing about slippery hands that's preventing me from doing that. It's just a straight squeeze. I would, once again, pop this up, not down, so that it's convex, not concave. I will now lift this pot of hot water. It's quite heavy, and what I feel like I need to do is get my right hand or left hand far away so that I'm pouring at a 90-degree angle. And that's really where the strain comes in. If I do it the way I want to do it, I'm really pouring off the side. This is a little bit easier, but this is almost demanding that I pour at literally 90-degree angle, which put my right arm and hand, if you can see my shoulder, my right hand, it's really at an awkward angle. So I'm not having that much fun doing this. In terms of usability, I would give this a 2 out of 5. It's designed in such a way that requires you to adapt to it as opposed to it adapting to you. Okay, it's redesign time. There are a couple of things that I would try to do on this. I think the clips themselves are kind of okay, although I think I would extend parts of this to make it a bit easier to place. I would extend this part a little bit beyond the clip because I think as you're positioning this onto the pot, it would be easier to catch something here and then push down. At least you can feel when you're on the edge of the pot, whether you're doing it in that direction, on the side, or towards you. I think it would be just a little bit easier. I think especially though, what I would do is flare this out so that there's not a single spout, but that it's able to pour along this entire radius. Instead of having an arc that looks like this with a spout in the middle, I think I would make sure that I've got enough of a strainer on the corners, because that's where it was spilling. Right now, the strainer is coming down way too low. And I think if the strainer, instead of ending here, came up here, there'd be less of a spill. In terms of a buy rating, I would give the clip-on pasta strainer a 2 out of 5. It should be amazing, and I just don't think it's there yet in the category of amazing. I'm really straining to come up with something to say. Adjustable dough cutter. This is commonly used for cutting pastry dough, but people also use it for pasta, so that's how we're going to evaluate it today. Let's see how effective it is. I have here a very rectangular sheet of pasta dough. I'm going to carefully put it down on the table. I think I'll keep this at its lowest setting, at its tightest setting, to give it a try. So let's start from the left side, but there's not a whole lot of pressure involved. I'm going to follow the left edge, and hopefully I have just made 7 noodles, and that seemed to work. Let's finish off the dough. I'm going to just try to go right down the center. Of course, there's not a whole lot of pressure you need on these wheels. One edge is a little bit wide, but the middle edges are perfectly even, and that was okay. It was kind of effortless. Didn't feel that good. It's just, you know, you're holding some rough pieces of metal with some rough edges here. Yeah, I thought this was okay, not great. Let's see how the adjustable dough cutter compares with using a plain old pizza cutter. In terms of effectiveness, I would give the adjustable dough cutter a 5 out of 5. If you really need even slices of dough or pasta, this is the way to do it. Let's check its usability using the left-handed oil test. Again, I'm going to make both hands slippery. And I have a new sheet of pasta dough. So this time I'm going to go a little wider. I'm using the scissor action to open it. I still would want to check the width before tightening these. And I'm using both hands to do that. That looks about right. These wing nuts don't feel that good. They take a lot of work to tighten. Worst of all, they've got pressure points. They just don't feel good on your fingers. So that could have been thought out better. This is really a two-handed operation because I want the same amount of pressure on the left and the right side. But let's give it one pass. I don't see why this wouldn't work. And it did. Oh, I do see a reason why it didn't work, because there wasn't enough pressure in the middle. So I was pressing on the left and right, but that middle wheel wasn't doing its job. I'm going to try to trace exactly where I was. Maybe I have to do this. That's not fun. In terms of usability, I would give this a 2 out of 5 and no better than that. The worst problem is that there's just not enough pressure in the middle the wider this gets. Let's talk about a redesign. I think there are a couple of things that can use some improvement here. One of the things that would be obvious to improve is that you lose pressure on the middle. So even if you press down here, there's no pressure pushing this down. You see that? It's just lifting, and it's just going to ride over the top of the dough, especially if the dough is a little more firm. What I would do is look at some way to create something that would apply pressure more evenly. I don't have an instant answer for that because it would have to probably be the width of this. Now, it may be possible, and I didn't try this either, it may be possible to do this, and maybe in doing that, we have enough pressure. So I think the one other thing I would advise, or at least think about, is how do you store this? And it may want to come with a protective case or a bag or something that would prevent the wheels from getting damaged or from you getting damaged. In terms of a buy rating, I would give this a 1.5 and probably not much better. It looks like it was engineered but not designed. It just looks like it's not there yet. Some of these started out as a good idea but just did not deliver. In some cases, there would have been some relatively minor design changes that would improve usability and improve performance, and I think could have really helped. I think the people who designed these did not spend enough time in the kitchen using them from a usability point of view. How do you think you did today? See, he thinks it went well.